Oh man, not this guy again. All right, guys. Okay, from Khan Academy, this is my least favorite extraneous solutions of equations problems. I think it's just inaccurate. It's a silly problem. So let me show you guys what Khan is thinking here, and then hopefully it helps you guys solve this dumb problem. Man, I wish I could just delete all these problems. These problems are dumb. But anyways, this is what Khan is thinking. Why they're making this problem. I don't know. When you have two numbers that equal each other and you square both sides, you get a squared equals b squared. Like this statement right here would be true. If you square both sides of the equation, it will hold true. Okay, but if you start with two perfect squares, two perfect squares, and then you square root both sides, so you add that to both sides, you do not necessarily get A equals B. Okay, it's not an if and only if statement. It's that kind of conditional type statement. Okay, here's a perfect example. Let's say you had -2 squared and 2 squared. Right now, this statement right here is true. But if I square root both sides, we will see that this statement is not true. Okay, so what's going on here is this problem was created to try to get you guys to understand that, which I totally disagree with. So this is how you guys solve it. All right, now if you guys were trying to solve this, what you would do is you would first square both sides. And so that we would get 3 over 2 times z plus 10. On this side, you would have, and I'm not going to multiply it out, you would have that whole side squared. Okay, so then what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to plug in this 4 to see what c has to be in order for it to be extraneous. Okay, so let's plug in the 4 right here, and we'll plug in the 4 to this z right here. So this is what we get. We get 4c plus 8 on this side. And on this side, we would multiply the 4 over 1 times the 3 over 2. The 2 and the 4 would simplify. So we have 2 times 3, which is 6. 6 plus 10, which is 16. And then you're supposed to solve for c. Now, if I solve for c like this, I would square root both sides. Now, whenever you enter in a square root into an equation, you're supposed to do plus or minus. Like the square root of 16 would be plus or minus 4. Why is that? That's because if you were to have an unknown number, okay, let's use x. Let's say you have an unknown number and you're squaring it and you get 25. What can that unknown number be? The answer is that unknown number, well, let's write it like this. That unknown number can be 5 squared or it can be -5 squared. So x can equal plus or minus 5. Okay, so that means if I square root both sides and try to get x alone to solve for it, I would get plus or minus 5. Some of you guys remember this rule. Maybe you never understood it, but that's why. Because whenever you square root, you make a square root on both sides, it's an inverse function operation. In order to get the x alone, you have to have the plus or minus 5 because it can be plus or minus 5. So this right here, whatever this is inside here, can be a positive or it can be a -4. So we have 4c plus 8. The square root gets rid of the squared. And then here we have the problem. We're saying that this number can be a +4 or a -4. That number is this number inside here. But that number inside there cannot be a -4 because of this square root. I'm sorry, guys. That's the best explanation I got for you. So what you're supposed to do here, let me sum it up really nicely. Since -4 is a number that this cannot be, you're supposed to set this equal to -4 and then solve it. Okay, so then I got 8. I subtract 8 from both sides. I get -12 equals 4c, and then I get c equals -3. And that's supposed to be your answer for this guy, -3. Now, I went through a ton of explanation on this to help you guys understand where Khan is coming from. But I hate this problem. So I'm going to show you guys another way. Well, it's pretty much the same as what I did right here. I'm just going to start over from the beginning and just explain it simply how you get the answer. So when you get to this problem, what you're going to do is you're going to plug in the value of z first. See what you get. Okay, so let's see. We multiply the 4 times the 3 over 2. The 2 and the 4 can simplify to get, 2, 1 and 2. 3 times 2 is 6. Then we add the 10, so we get the square root of 16, which equals 4. And then you're going to take the other side, and you're going to say, okay, 4c plus 8. What do I have to do? What does c have to be in order to get a negative 4? So I just took this guy and made him negative, and now I'm going to solve it. Okay, then you subtract 8 from both sides. You get 4c equals negative 12. And then you divide both sides by 4. You get negative 3. Okay, so 2 steps. First, plug in the 4. And then whatever you get, make it negative. And then set the other side equal to that negative answer to solve for this c. Okay? Sorry, guys. I hate this problem too.